enemy is acquiring the boost.
The enemy is about to be pulled out. You're too strong for them.
The boost has been taken by allies.
Rogues have run out of reinforcements. You can win.
Rogue Mender Seeker Mine detected. Agent down. System malfunctioning. System restored.
The fight is halfway done.
Explosive Seeker Mine detected. Rogue Hive detected. System curtailed. Rogue Assault Turret detected. System reactivated. Rogue Striker Drone detected. An agent needs assistance. The enemy has acquired the boost. An agent needs assistance. Agent down. Serious trauma detected. Allies are acquiring the boost. Allies have acquired the boost. Rogue defender drone detected.
The enemy is too strong. We might have to pull you out.
Boost about to activate. boost now active. Agent down.
It's a win. Solid work.
What's going on YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 build video. Now in this build, my number one question was, is the Eagle Bearer still viable in PvP? We all know that the Lady Death is a big contender now for all the meta builds just because of all that amplified damage and it being an SMG, shooting at 900 rounds per minute. It's very sought after, and I understand. I myself am becoming a huge fan of the Lady Death. However, my thoughts were, you know, this being the new like meta exotic, I wanted to go back to one of the original meta exotics, being the Eagle Bearer. So what I did is I tried to come up with another little version of like a meta build, but in this way incorporating the Eagle Bearer and seeing how that would go up against other people using the Lady Death, how that would go up against, you know, random teams and conflict PvP, and just seeing how it went. You guys have already watched the gameplay, and obviously, yeah, it still wrecks. It's really nice. It's had some nerfs and some talent reworks in the past, but the Eagle Bearer still reigns supreme, especially for assault rifles. Now, with all that said and done, shout out to the DoD, Disciples of Doom, and let's get into this Eagle Bearer build. Now, let me switch up the background so it doesn't get too crazy. There we go. Alright, so this is my Eagle Bearer PvP build currently. What I did with this build is I stacked damage to armor with damage to targets out of cover, a little bit of crit, and an Eagle Bearer. I combined that with Perfect Adrenaline Rush and Intimidate, obviously because those two talents are just insanely good together. The number one reason I use Adrenaline Rush personally is because I run and gun. I love to run and gun. I've done it ever since, you know, old school Call of Duty days, and it still is my playstyle today. So what I do is I use Adrenaline Rush when I run and gun, because when I get close, I can see how many people are near me because of the Adrenaline Rush procs. So yeah, it only procs up to 3 times. However, it is very rare that you're going to catch all 4 players together in the exact same spot. Usually there's one guy flanking, usually there's one guy that's, you know, being left behind, and yeah, the 3 stacks is usually the best indicator for me. So what I do is I keep my eye out on those indicators. That way I know when they're pushing, I know if they're coming from behind me, I know if I'm getting close to them when I'm pushing, and also with certain maps, you can, it'll also proc if you're underneath them or above them. So it's just a great indicator on where your enemies are. It's kind of like your own personal pulse without actually getting to see exactly where they are. Because within 10 meters, chances are you're going to be able to see them fairly soon. So that's why I personally use the Adrenaline Rush. I love how it just tells me when an enemy is like right next to me, or when I'm right next to an enemy. It just helps out my playstyle a little bit more. Now, obviously, Intimidate, you like looking at the other talents, for example, Glass Cannon. I tried this out, and yeah, Glass Cannon is nice. However, you only get 25% amplified damage, but you take 50% amplified damage. That's not a good trade-off. And if you see 25% amplified compared to Intimidate, where it's 35%, it's not even a close call, because using Adrenaline Rush, you get that armor, you also get to know that you're near an enemy, and you get 35% amplified weapon damage without losing anything. There's no disadvantages to this, and that's why so many people are running this combination, because there's really no other better combination out there. Yeah, you could use Glass Cannon with Versatile or Vigilance, you know, what have you, but using Glass Cannon, you're squishy. And you can really tell nowadays where you have the people that run Glass Cannon and don't run Glass Cannon, because they melt really quick. It's insane. So I've been trying to stay away from Glass Cannon. I might try it out with like a rifle or like a sniper rifle build, but as far as running and gunning with an AR, SMG, even an LMG, it's just not as viable as the Intimidate, where Intimidate mixed up with your Adrenaline Rush, it just helps you sustainability wise, but it also helps you damage wise. But alright, that's enough explaining why I did the build the way I did it. Now, the other changes I did is I added Fox's Prayer knee pads for damage to targets out of cover, so that's really helping out with the Eagle Bearer. And then also I added a Seska for crit chance. So my Eagle Bearer right now on the stat sheet, I'm at 44 crit chance, just under 144 crit damage, with 64 headshot damage, 13 armor damage, and 20 health damage. So I'm getting a lot of damage, especially with the damage to targets out of cover from the Fox's Prayer knee pads. That's just adding fuel to the fire. Now, starting with the specialization, I'm using the Demolitionist specialization. Reason being is I get, to help my teammates out, I give them 5% damage to targets out of cover. When I lose my armor completely, it refills my main weapon's ammo. So say I'm face tanking one guy, he clears my armor off, but then another guy's running behind me. I can combat roll. I will not have to reload because that talent has already reloaded my magazine, and then I can try to melt that guy. I think there was 1 or 2 clips there that I showed you where I'd kill the first guy, I would have like little to no armor at all, and then I'd end up killing the second guy when he's at full armor with bonus armor, and I'm still melting him through it. Now, another reason for the Demolitionist, I get the 7% crit chance small laser pointer weapon attachment. I'm using that on my Vector. I also get the grenade launcher for conflict. It's a lot of fun. Catches people off guard, especially when they're really tanky, and you shoot that and you take off a majority of their armor, and then it's an easy gunfight after that. But yeah, let's see, I think that's about it. I also get some burn resistance, which is nice because everyone and their MF and mom is running Firewall Specialization right now. And if you know anything about the Firewall Specialization, when you deplete all of their armor, the closest enemy gets caught on fire, which is the most annoying thing out there. I think it's pure cheese, and I think anyone that's running it is just pure cheese. But it's in the game. I mean, it is what it is. You could run the Gunner Specialization and get the really nice med kit out of that. So, I mean, it's up to your own personal opinion. For me, Demolitionist all the way. Now, down to the weapons. I'm using the Eagle Bearer with the Vector and a double barrel sawed-off. Starting with the Eagle Bearer, this is your exotic assault rifle from the Operation Dark Hours raid. Yes, it is still locked behind that raid. However, the raid's been out for a very long time. If you can't LFG a group to like carry you through it, then I'm sorry. I have a Discord channel where they do raid carries LFG on all platforms, so I could, leave the link to my Discord in the comment section below. But just run through it. 99% of the time, you're going to have at least half of that raid team already has the Eagle Bearer, so I'm sure they'd be able to drop it for you. You just have to reach out and find the right people to help you. Now, my Eagle Bearer, 107.3k total damage. That's with 15% AR damage, 19.5 health damage, and 9% headshot damage. This is not God rolled, nor do I care. The health damage and headshot damage is nice, but I do play on console, so I'm not too worried about either one of those. This thing still melts very quickly. Now, my secondary is the Vector 45 ACP. Now, this one is at 79.8k total damage with 1200 RPMs. It's at 15% SMG damage, 15.5 crit chance, and 9% damage to targets out of cover. So when I'm using my Vector, I get to stack my damage to targets out of cover with the weapon and also the Fox's Prayer knee pads, and then I get to add the damage to armor on top of that. It's just all this damage on damage on damage. Not only that, but I'm using the talent Optimist, so my weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine, and this thing shoots at 1200 RPMs, so I get the max damage from my Optimist really quick. So in some of those gameplay clips, you'll see that I'll shoot him with the Eagle Bearer, but instead of reloading, I'll just switch over to this Vector, and they melt instantly. It's really nice. The Vector is slept on. You need to check it out. Now, as far as weapon attachments, this one, for some reason, is all about accuracy. So what I would do is I would put crit chance on crit chance on crit damage, and then that way when you go over to the stats, you'll see that the Vector is over here at 60% crit chance, 133 crit damage, 50 headshot damage, and 13 armor damage. You add that with the damage to targets out of cover, which is 9% on the weapon, and then from the Fox's Prayer knee pads is another 8%. So I have 17% damage to targets out of cover for my Vector with 13% armor damage. Both of those are multiplicative, so yeah, this thing does a lot of work. Now, as far as the sidearm goes, backup boomstick. Only reason I'm using this, I say it in every video, is because it has a whole bunch of shotgun damage, a whole bunch of damage to armor, and a whole bunch of damage to targets out of cover. This thing just has multiplicative damage just running through its veins. It's at 1.2 total damage. That's 1.2 million total damage. And then you add in the damage to armor with the damage to targets out of cover, add that with the build, and man, this thing, I'm telling you, it wrecks. Now, those are your weapons. Now, doing the gear, I'm doing 1 Fenris for the assault rifle damage. I'm doing 2 Walker Harris & Co. for the damage to armor and the weapon damage. I'm doing 1 Contractor Glove for the damage to armor, Fox's Prayer knee pads for the damage to targets out of cover, and then the Seska holster for the crit chance and a little bit of crit damage. Now, starting with the mask, this is the Fenris mask. So the Fenris brand set bonus I get out of this is 10% AR damage. Now, this mask came with 15% weapon damage, 3.7 crit chance, and then I rolled on there 12% crit damage. Now, it has a red mod slot, so I chose more crit damage at 11.5%. Going to the backpack, it's the Matador. Matador is the named Walker Harris & Co. backpack with Perfect Adrenaline Rush. Now, Perfect Adrenaline Rush, we all know in PvP, let me turn that on, gives you 12% bonus armor for each stack. You can only stack up to 3 times. So, the cooldown is 5 seconds, and you can constantly get stacks on stacks on stacks as long as you're near an enemy. So, you get 36% bonus armor. Now 36% out of my 1 million armor, obviously I'm going to be at about 1.36 million armor when I'm finally going up against some enemies. Now, for the Walker Harrison Co. brand set bonuses, I get the 5% weapon damage and 5% damage to armor. This one came with 15% weapon damage, 6% crit chance, 5.5 weapon handling, and then that red mod slot, 11.8%. Now, for some reason, when you have maxed out attributes while using the PvP counter, it shows, you can see that crit chance, it shows it like near 0. But if I turn this off, you can see it's maxed out at 6%. That's just something weird. I don't know. Tell the developers. I'm sick of telling them stuff to fix. Now, as far as the chest piece, Walker Harrison Co., this one is rolled for armor because I did want to have that 1 million armor cap. It seems to be pretty much the sweet spot right now between DPS players and tank players. If you do, you know, 1 million armor, you can pretty much hang with the tanks and still outgun the DPS players. So this one rolled to armor, 170k, comes with 14.2k health, 9.3 crit damage, and then that red mod slot, 11.9 crit damage. Now, I've already told you about Intimidate. It's a great talent to use, especially with Adrenaline Rush. Contractors Gloves. These are your named Petrov gloves. Now, the Petrov brand set bonus you get out of this build, 10% LMG damage. Now, with it being a named item, it does have a nice attribute. This one, damage to armor at 8%. I rolled armor for the core attribute at 170k, and then it also came with crit damage at 7.1. Another thing I'd like to point out, you see the crit damage is at 7.1? I'm pretty sure it maxes out at 12%. So why is it showing me like less than like a quarter? You see it there, the little red bar? For some reason, it's saying 7.1% crit damage is like a quarter, which would mean that I'd probably get it up to like 28%, but it only maxes out at 12. So I think their little meters showing their attributes are not matching up with what the numbers actually are. So try not to focus on those, you know, red, blue, and yellow meters too much for the attributes, because I think that they do not match up with the actual cap. Going down the knee pads, these are the Fox's Prayer knee pads named Overlord Armament. So Overlord Armament brand set bonus you get out of this build, 10% rifle damage. We are not using the rifle damage or the LMG damage. We are strictly using the named attributes, being the 8% damage to armor, and for these, the 8% damage to targets out of cover. Now, these knee pads, I rolled to 15% weapon damage. Like I said, it comes with that 8% damage to targets out of cover. And then these knee pads came with 8.2% crit damage. Now you can see again here, the 8.2% crit damage. It's not even showing it about halfway, but the max is 12%. So it's kind of hard, you know, if you're just a visual learner, for you to see, oh, 8.2%, that's not even half. I could get it up to, you know, like 20%. Well, that's not the case. You can only get it up to 12%, but for some reason their meters are not matching up with the numbers. It's kind of annoying. And then finally, the holster. This is your Seska holster. So the Seska brand set bonus I get out of this build, 10% crit chance. This one came with 14.9 weapon damage, just under max. Also 4.4 crit chance on top. And then I rolled crit damage at 12%. Now for these skills I use. Same sort of skills right now with the current PvP meta. What I do is I use the Jammer Pulse. This really works out really well. There's a lot of people that throw Seekers, Hives, they'll throw Fireflies at you. send striker drones, set up turrets, and this thing will knock them all out in one nice swoop. The Jammer Pulse is actually one of my favorite skills to run nowadays, ever since they butchered the booster hive. So yeah, I like the Jammer Pulse. The other one is the Crusader Shield. This one really helps me out in like tough situations. Like you saw in the gameplay clips, I don't really use it really at all unless I'm going up against a couple people. Now if I see that there are 2 people shooting at me, I'll whip out the shield, face tank the first guy, roll out, and then worry about the next guy. However, you can't really do that if you don't have a shield in the first place. So what I try to do is I try to mitigate all that damage I'm taking in to hit the shield. That way I can face tank the first guy, let the shield get destroyed, and then by the time I go up against the second guy, it's pretty much an even battle. But just for laughs, this Crusader Shield is at 2.2 million health. It's only a tier 2, and yeah, it does a lot of good work. That is your build. Let's finish up with the stat sheet. Alright, stat sheet. This is for the Eagle Bearer. 45k PvP damage, 44.1 crit chance, 143.8 crit damage, 64 headshot damage, 13 armor damage, and 20% health damage. This build also has damage to targets out of cover, but for some reason the developers decided not to put that under your stat sheet. Going to the offensive tab, I am at 67.5 all weapon damage with 40% assault rifle damage. So whenever I'm using the Eagle Bearer, I have 107.5 weapon damage bonus. Then that's not including the damage to armor, damage to targets out of cover, or the amplified damage I get from the Intimidate talent. So there's a lot of damage going on behind the scenes. Now as far as gear talents, like I said, Perfect Adrenaline Rush and Intimidate, those are your 2 go-tos. Defensive tab, I have 1,026,000 armor with 301k health. We have 10% explosive resistance and hazard, but that is from my watch level. Now yes, you'll be able to get either your base damage or your crit damage up a little bit higher than mine, just because my watch level is only at 564. They said that conflict levels would level up your watch. However, I am a walking, talking like evidence showing people that that is not the case. I've been playing conflict in and out every single day for a couple weeks now, and if you've been following my videos, I've only gone up maybe 1 or 2 levels. And that's because I did the exotic projects. I didn't do any of the dailies, haven't done any of that stuff, just been playing conflict, and I haven't leveled up not 1 level. So I'm still trying to figure out why conflict is like the main source of PvP outside of the dark zone, and you don't get any watch levels from it. However, if you go to the dark zone, you could get 10 watch levels in an hour. Basically, it's just kind of confusing. I think the developers just need to reevaluate their ish. But all right, that is my Eagle Bearer build. The question of the day was, is the Eagle Bearer still viable in PvP, especially with this Lady Death meta going around? And I would say yes, the Eagle Bearer does work. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Kamikazevondoom. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. That way I'll see you in the next one. Peace.